Hello, welcome to HITC Sport. Right, let's take a look at the most disliked football players from each and every year. Well, from 2004 anyway, we'd be here all day otherwise. You know, the players who really ticked off the world for that particular 12 months. Like in 2009 when Thierry Henry cost my country our only chance at happiness. I am going to dance in that man's grave. Too dark? Never. 2004, Adrian Mutu. If we're going back to 2004, I mean, the lad who received the most abuse that year was the poor old Swedish ref who disallowed Sol Campbell's last-minute winner for England against Portugal at the Euros. Because of him purely doing his job and correctly disallowing that goal, he probably had to relocate to some shed off the east coast of Mozambique, anything to escape the likes of Big Pete from Swindon. But no, if we're talking players, I don't know. Chelsea weren't too happy with Adrian Mutu, sacking him after he tested positive for, you know. This was incredible. Mutu ended up having to fork out £15 million out of his own goddamn pocket to compensate his former club. I'm surprised the lad hasn't spent the last 10 years living in a tent and showering in the puddles outside KFC. You know, like the rest of us. 2005, Ashley Cole. Sneaky, that is the only word for this.
Chelsea, Mourinho and Cole fined.
This is the moment the world turned on Ashley Cole. I don't get it, you've been through the Arsenal Youth Academy. They've won you league titles, got you in the England team, made you a world star. Surely they deserve a bit more respect than for you to scuttle off to have a meeting with our rival employers in a goddamn travel lodge. You showed your boyhood club the same respect you showed your first wife, and now she's off getting knocked up by those kids out of One Direction. God, Ashley, you really did a number on her. 2006, Cristiano Ronaldo. Whereas before this, Cristiano Ronaldo was just a slight irritant. You know, some one-trick pony who probably kissed a photo of himself every night before bed. This was the moment he incensed an entire nation of people. Unfortunately for him, it just happened to be the country where he was currently earning a wage. He's like Fabio Grosso netting the World Cup winning penalty against France, and then bravely, or insanely, choosing to link up with Leon. Just like, why? Of all the countries to go to. It's like asking out a girl after you've just taken a dump on her lawn. Anyway, we all know what happened with Ronaldo next. He pleaded with the referee to get clubmate Wayne Rooney sent off at the World Cup, winked to the bench, and suddenly had an army of British bills wanting to see him stuck in a deep fat fryer. The level of backlash almost resulted in him leaving England early.
Ronaldo wants transfer to Spain. I should get out of Manchester as the circumstances are not right. Nobody stood up for me and my desires to play in Spain. Will it be Real or Barcelona? It'll be one of them.
Can you imagine a world where Barcelona spent 10 years with both Messi and Ronaldo on each wing? That would have just ended football as a goddamn sport. 2007, Gabriel Heinze. I'm not sure if Gabriel Heinze was reading a book on how to self-sabotage your career, but what the hell? It was going just fine. He was a Man United cult hero, had just played 38 games that season, including a Champions League semi-final where admittedly he had his career turned into soggy cabbage by Kaka, but still, I'm not sure who his agent was. But I can only guess it was a drunken cat, because no man in his right mind would advise his client to behave like this.
Liverpool called in lawyers over Heinze transfer.
Why? Why Liverpool? Any club in the world, why try to force a move to Liverpool? It's like being stuck in a marriage, right? Before one day getting out and threatening to hook up with her goddamn twin sister. And considering Liverpool had just finished 20 odd points behind United, maybe it was more like her twin sister who looked as though she'd just been hit by a goddamn bus. Man United hadn't sold Liverpool so much as a tin of dog food since 1964. What was he thinking? Heinze did eventually leave for Spain. I mean, of course he did. I mean, if you announce that you want to leave for Liverpool and try and take United to court because of it, your choices are pretty simple. Either flee the country, or just accept that your house is going to be pelted with cat shit for the next 9 months of your life. 2008, Martin Taylor. This one was kind of unfair. Martin Taylor was a nothing player. A lad with such a bang average career. You honest to Christ have to stifle a yawn whenever you look at his CV. When you're typing his name into Google and a 62-year-old jazz guitarist from York is coming up ahead of his name, that's how you know your career was a big pile of toilet water. And that's coming from me. Right? But yes, the 6'4" behemoth instantly became everyone's most hated defender back in 2008 when he clumsily stuck his size 12s right through Eduardo's shins.
Martin Taylor receives death threats over tackle.
Yeah, the lads who were wishing death threats upon this guy were probably just 12-year-old kids who snuck onto their dad's laptop, but still, it wasn't nice and a bit unfair. Do we really live in a society where accidentally breaking someone's leg is punishable by public stoning in the streets of London? I don't think so, lads. Considering Arsenal's title challenge fell off a cliff after that tackle, a lot of Arsenal fans probably held this man accountable. Yeah, absolutely. He's the one to blame for your late season collapse. I'm guessing he's been sneaking into the dressing room and injuring all the other players for the last 10 years. 2009, Thierry Henry. Oh, Thierry, a man who I will gladly drown in a bucket of milk. Now, don't get me wrong, there were close calls here, like Charles Atange. a Liverpool benchman whose only legacy at the club is laughing at a Hillsborough memorial. You have the city of Liverpool united as one, from young and old, mourning their loved ones, and you have this utter gombeen messing around. He was 26 years old. I might have expected this from a child. How would you like it if we all started doing the chicken dance halfway through your goddamn funeral? Look at this. Literally, the entire back row just disgusted at him. Also, there were the likes of Michael Owen, a man who managed to flick the V's at both of his former employers in the same month. But no, I'm gonna go for Thierry Henry. Up until now, I'll be honest, I saw him as nothing more than a great player, a wonderful bastion of the game. Now his mask had been ripped off, and I saw him for what he was, a cheating bollocks. He was the reason I sat at home watching that 2010 World Cup on TV with a single tear rolling down my cheek, because his left hand deprived us of a spot in that tournament. Do you feel good about it, Thierry, do you? At having to cheat your way to a World Cup against the likes of Paul McShane? Embarrassing. 2010 Wayne Rooney. This was the year where Wayne Rooney bent his employers over a table and fleeced them for all they were worth. The absolute cheek of this man. For those of you who don't remember the start of the 10-11 season and who were instead too busy getting spat out of the goddamn womb, Rooney was playing absolutely appallingly. The only thing he'd done at the 2010 World Cup was just criticise the fans for booing him, despite the fact he was playing like Gary Taylor-Fletcher after a weekend at Burger King. By October, the man had scored 2 goals. 2 goals! And yet suddenly this was breaking as a headline.
Wayne Rooney confirms he wants to leave Manchester United.
Yeah, Rooney came out with some waffle how the club couldn't match his ambitions, and said something about the club's inability to attract the top players. And now suddenly he was being linked with a crosstown move to Man City. Listen, yes, I can understand how the club's transfer business that summer no doubt made him want to stick his head in a toaster. I can understand that. When the likes of Mesut Ozil were up for grabs, Sir Alex was instead dragging in some random kid from Mexico and some lad from down the local soup kitchen, but still. And then
Wayne Rooney stays at Manchester United after signing a 5-year deal.
So basically all that about trophies and ambition was just a load of old horse bollocks to get a new goddamn pay rise. The modern player, everyone. 2011 Carlos Tevez. I've rarely seen such a big media furore as this. The moment Carlos Tevez refused to drag his well-paid backside off the Man City bench against Bayern Munich in September 2011, all hell broke loose. It was just almost as if he'd punched an 8-year-old in the goddamn face. Not only was his manager and club throwing him under the bus, with suspensions, fines and claims that he was finished at the club, a complete load of cowpat by the way, I think this was the moment football fans worldwide were really beginning to lose faith in their idols. Less than a year after Rooney had held one of the biggest clubs in the world to ransom, now Tevez, a spoiled brat of a man, getting paid more in a day than most do in a goddamn year, was refusing to do the bare minimum that his salary requires. Get on the goddamn football pitch, something most of us would do for free. I think this was the moment where the fans really began to feel a sense of disconnect with those prima donnas out on the pitch, or in Tevez's case, stuck to the goddamn bench. 2012 Joey Barton. And this was the moment where the world was finished with Joey Barton as we know him. He talked about cleaning up his act, right? About settling down, about becoming a new and improved Joey Barton on top of his anger issues. We should have known though. I mean, he started the season by getting Trevino sent off, and he ended it by trying to do the same with the Man City players and failing badly. Have you not beat up enough Man City players in your lifetime? It was pretty embarrassing. He was handed a 12-match ban and exiled to France for 9 months. 2013 Eden Hazard. I know what you're thinking. How in a cow's left kidney could you ever hate the lovable Eden Hazard? It's a good question, but don't forget that initially, Eden Hazard was being treated as the second coming of Hitler back in January 2013. The narrative was this: nasty old Chelsea were playing lovable little Swansea in the League Cup semi-finals back in 2013. And so the horrible grown man that is Hazard, who probably spat in the faces of old ladies and drove over a family of puppies on the way to the game, then beat up an innocent ball boy for having their temerity to touch his football, and should rightly be locked up for the rest of his career and have the key thrown down the toilet. When in reality, Hazard was only 4 years older than this boy. The kid was 17 years old for Christ's sake, and even then he looked about 35. And the kid, Charlie Morgan, had already championed himself as the king of time wasting on Twitter. 2014 Luis Suarez. I talked about there being a fuss with Tevez, right? This was the biggest one ever. Probably because he was so unbelievable. Luis Suarez had only served a 10-match ban for biting an opponent just a few months earlier. Here he was on the biggest stage at a World Cup, choosing to take a snack out of Giorgio Chiellini's arm. Lad, if you're hungry for a bite of human flesh, do it on your own time. Best not to do it on a football pitch when you have millions of cameras pointing in your face. And his subsequent 4-month ban almost botched his dream move to Barcelona.
Luis Suarez admits he nearly quit after the Giorgio Chiellini incident.
2015 Raheem Sterling. I almost went for the human stick of Brill cream that is Jack Grealish, but let's go for Raheem Sterling instead. Whereas now the man is one of the most popular footballers in the world, an advocate for human rights and proving that he's not just this tabloid playboy and actually does have a few brain cells stapled into that skull of his. But no, back in 2015 the man was He was trying to force a move out of Liverpool and it wasn't going down well with anyone. Having refused to sign a new 100 grand a week contract at Liverpool, the 20-year-old then refused to go on a pre-season tour. It's no wonder that Sterling has such resilience. I can only imagine as a 20-year-old man what sort of filth was polluting his Twitter mentions. 2016 Adam Johnson. I mean, why do you think? Why do you think he's mentioned here? I'm not getting into this, lads, but I think we all know why he makes this list. And it's not for his goddamn choice of haircut. 2017 Patrice Evra. 2018 was the year that Patrice Evra creeped out the entire internet by sucking on the toes of a raw chicken. But the year before, the fella was sacked by Marseille for kicking a fan in the head. Not very smart. 2018 Sergio Ramos. I could have gone for Loris Karius, who single-handedly cost his club a Champions League and then tried to blame it on a concussion. Yeah, good lad. There was also Declan Rice, who used my country's national pride as a piece of toilet paper. But no, let's go for Sergio Ramos. Don't get me wrong, he's probably a hero at Manchester and an absolute god in Madrid. But the entire Liverpool fan base, and probably some others scattered across the globe, no doubt wanted to stick his head in a blender after the Champions League final, where he took out Mo Salah, and I don't mean for a seafood dinner. 2019 Neymar. Even his own fans hate him. You're on nearly $500,000 a week, lad. I wouldn't be surprised if you have your own team of specialists on hand to wipe your goddamn arse. And yet, ingratitude, contempt for your employers that pay your ridiculous wage. Shocking. Anyway, that's the end of it, lads. Let me know, were there any players I missed out here? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Have I been too harsh? Did you actually like these players that year? Yeah, let me know in your comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, share, and subscribe. And as always, I'll talk to you in a while.